It seems like it's been 40 weeks since you got 40 winks. Your back pain? Unbearable. Tossing, turning, trying to find that pain-free position. And that's the moment you realize you can't spend another waking moment putting off treatment.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for spine care, with a ton of surgical and non-surgical treatments for back pain. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This podcast, episode 596, Mental Health, Fitness, and Fashion with Erin Roddy.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This podcast. I'm Amanda Valentine. My guest today, who is very afraid to be on the podcast. Just going to throw you right under the bus.
Thank you, Amanda.
Right away. See, you got to shake those nerves out. You're going to be fine. Is Erin Roddy from Meas Active, which you might have been seeing where some of her amazing athletic wear on my Instagram page at You Can Pound This. And so we met, was it Queen Bee Expo last year, right?
Yes, 2019.
So October 2019. So we've known each other just over a year.
Yeah.
And I met you because, well, I'll let you tell your story in a second, but you're originally from Cincinnati. And at the Queen Bee Expo, for those not in Cincinnati, which is a marathon here, mainly geared towards women, which is part of the Flying Pig Marathon series. The expo before is your typical race expo. And I saw your flashy, kick-ass jacket, and I was like, oh, dang, that has got my name written all over it. I'm like, I freaking love this thing. And I think I was trying it on whenever you started talking to me. And I was like, damn, this is awesome. And then I got back to work with it, and it became the most controversial thing because I was at the radio station and half the people are like, that jacket is the bomb. And half the people are like, you look like a baked potato. Like, what are you wearing that for? And I was like, this thing is the best thing ever.
Yes. Yes.
And so as a preface of like, that's just how we met each other. So you design activewear.
Yep.
But let's kind of go back way before, like we start with Meas Active. Let's start with you being in Cincinnati. What's your background? Where are you coming from?
Sure. Yeah. So I am born and raised in Cincinnati. West Side, West Sider. I grew up all my whole life here, and then as I was graduating high school, I hadn't decided what I was going to do. So I was always that girl in high school who made all her clothes, made all of her prom dresses, and I thought to myself, I want to go to a design school, but I wasn't sure what that looked like for me. Unfortunately, I wasn't the academic student that I needed to be to get into a DAP at UC. So I kind of took a year off, but I found during that year that I had been having some ups and downs with like depression and anxiety. Not to go right into the dark stuff. But because of that, I had like a lot of my friends had left to go to college. I was struggling mentally and emotionally. And then I hit a really dark place because I didn't really know what I was doing with my life. I didn't feel like I was like, on a direct path anywhere. I knew I loved design. I knew I loved fashion. But I just didn't know how to get there. So I took a year off, and actually that was a year that was probably one of the darkest years of my life, but I trained for the Cincinnati Flying Pig Marathon, which was an incredible time in my life, and it really kind of like provided me with a sense of self-confidence. It gave me a lot of value, and I was always a runner, so it was definitely something that I loved. So I guess what I'll say is like that was part of my uphill climb. It didn't once I got there, it didn't get me over the hump. But it kind of presented me with the idea of like, okay, you're gonna have some ups and downs through life. But with that being said, I ended up going to school and moved to Chicago for 2 years. and I went to school there for fashion design as well. I kind of got sidetracked with makeup artistry, so I was a makeup artist in retail. I worked for a couple of brands like MAC Cosmetics, Christian Dior, so I was always still having a creative outlet. But then as I kind of like stopped looking at school and kept looking at that, it kind of became a point of contention where it was like either you're going to go to school or you're going to leave Chicago. So I came back home to Cincinnati, and I kind of hung out for another 5 years, did lots of odd and end jobs, but I have to be honest, I was still really battling with like depression and anxiety, and the fact that I wasn't like getting to I guess I was probably constantly comparing myself to other friends, other women, other people. What was everybody doing around me? And I didn't feel like I was ever fitting a mold, if you will. But yeah, so it was a constant battle, and eventually I made the move, and I built the confidence to get back to school, and I went to DAP at 25. It was an incredible program. It provided me with the opportunity to do internships every other quarter in fashion, and at 30, I got a job that I had internshiped with in New York with American Eagle Outfitters, and basically I hightailed it out of Cincinnati and head off to New York about 8 years ago. And the last couple years, I kind of started getting back into working on myself and running and my health and wellness. I really knew I wanted to get back into like making apparel that was meaningful versus what I had been in, which was kind of like throwaway fast fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And so, my husband and I just moved back to Cincinnati this past end of the summer in August. I'd started working on the brand about 2 years ago, Meas Active, and I just felt really passionate about keeping health and wellness in my lifestyle, along with like providing women with a product that was more meaningful than just like throwaway fashion.
Yeah, so tell me the birth of Meas Active. Like, how did that come to be?
Yeah, so I was working, like I said, in the industry, in fashion, at that time for about 6 years. And I found myself, like, not feeling fulfilled. I was kind of, like, climbing that ladder and really, like, getting after it in my career, but I didn't feel like I was really giving back to something. So I decided to become a freelance contractor, and so I started working for a couple of different brands. And in the meantime, I went on a mission trip, if you will, with a nonprofit organization called Destiny Rescue. They help women in Cambodia and Thailand who've been sex trafficked. So I went on that for 2 weeks in 2017. And when I got over there, I mean, I want to say it was like cliche aha moment, like, what am I doing with my life? But it was definitely a cliche aha moment.
Yeah.
What was I doing with my life? So I sat there on the ground of 110-degree concrete floor. It was, sweltering hot. I'm sitting there with some young ladies, like 3 or 4 of them from the age of 13 to like 19, who had been sex trafficked. And I couldn't speak their language. They couldn't speak my language. And I sat there like playing a game of, I think, Chutes and Ladders. And I just thought to myself, like, wow, these girls, like, here I am boo-hooing because I'm trying to figure my way out through my career path. And these girls have been through what they've been through. And they had more hope and excitement and joy in their laughter than I even felt. So Meas Active, me means gold, and in the Khmer language, which is the Cambodian language, and it comes full circle because there was a ancient proverb in Cambodia that said men are like gold. When they're dirty, they can be shined off like new. Women are like white linen. When they're dirty, they cannot. And it was like, it was that really touched me because, like I said, I'm sitting there on the floor with concrete floor, playing a game of Chutes and Ladders, and these girls had they were shined off like new. To me, I was like, how this proverb couldn't be more wrong. So I left that trip and I came home and I said, look, Erin, I love running. I did my first marathon in Cincinnati Flying Pig, 2001, 2002. And running in health and wellness has been what has kind of saved me through my mental health and my mental illness battles. So I thought to myself, you love fashion, you love design, you love active. Why not come up with a brand, and why not come up with a product that fuses fashion, function, and what I say, philanthropy? So I wanted to be a product that, helps women through their health and wellness journey. So an activewear product that makes them feel good. And then, I want it to be highly functionable. And then, I want it to give back. So that's kind of like where it all started. I just started putting pencil to paper, sketching, concepting, and so here we are.
So, your stuff is amazing. I'm wearing some of your leggings right now. And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting across from me, but like, not only are the clothes fashionable and cute, like the jacket that I love, which, fight me. I think that jacket's awesome.
It is amazing. Yeah, you look amazing. I think I sold like 5 when you were at the table because you look so good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And I've shared your stuff on Instagram before, just even in the tag of just saying that this goes to support women. And we were talking a lot before we were recording, but it's if somebody buys some of your activewear right now, like who is this going to support?
So currently right now we give a percentage of the profits back to, there is a foundation called Loveland Foundation, and it is a foundation that helps mental health in minority girls and women. However, we're constantly changing and moving into the holiday season with it being a season of giving. We want to give back to, it's called the Shelter House of Cincinnati, and it helps homeless women. The reason why I picked that for the holiday season is because what you'll find when you look at statistics of both men and women who are homeless, but women specifically, it's about 40% of them struggle with mental illness. So knowing that, being a part of something that can give back and help women who, are having the struggles to get through life, and maybe they've been thrown, it's just something, as an example, COVID right now, so many people have lost jobs. Anybody could end up in that position, and the mental health is something that I don't believe that we have enough support in our society for. So that's why I've decided through the holiday season, so starting Monday through the end of December, every purchase, a portion of the profit will give back to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of the mental wellness, that was a topic that came up. So since you've moved back to Cincinnati, and we've known each other, but we've just known each other from a distance, because you were in New York City and I've been in Cincinnati, that we met up a couple weeks ago. And I was telling you about this mental health struggles I'm going through this year. I mean, this year has just given me a kick to the face as far as mental health goes, just because #2020 and about the conversations that I've been having with my doctors about going on antidepressants and stuff like that. And then you sharing your experience, it's been so helpful for me. And I'm so glad that, you're on my podcast right now to share this, because for me, again, you look at somebody on Instagram and on the outside, it's I know you, but I've known you from a distance.
Sure.
And you see that the Meas Active Instagram, it's here, you're just this beautiful blonde and you're wearing your amazing, you're a fashion designer and you have awesome clothes. It goes for such a good cause. And you you look at someone and you're just kind of they've got it together. You know what I mean?
Instagram at its best.
Right. And so I'm telling you about, me, worrying about where I'm at and how I've hit this crossroads of I'm in this dark place I've never been in before. And for you to share your experience with me, again, it just feels I hate that I don't want anybody else to feel that way, but it's just, this feels this pressure off of you of
I'm not the only one that's going through it.
Yeah, of
Sure.
that needs extra help, and that it's okay to ask for help. And, if you need it, and hopefully to be in a place, where you're privileged enough to be able, you're talking about these other women you've dealt with before, which is why it's so awesome you're giving back to these people, that not everybody can reach out and ask for the kind of help that they need. But if you're in a place where you can and you're not, you should.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You and I were talking a few weeks ago, and again, back to kind of agreeing with what you're saying, I don't ever want anybody to feel this way, but we do go through it. I can only speak to myself, and then, I surround myself with women, but you're never alone in the situation. Mental health is something that is so like under supported that I feel and under talked about. I feel like nobody talked to me about that growing up, and genetic, not genetic, who knows where it comes from, but we all have certain struggles, and until you're given the tools to deal with it, you're kind of just left to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, hindsight, I could probably tell you I was dealing with it my whole life, and I had ups and downs, and on the outside I looked great. I was this cute, bubbly, personable, I was very athletic, very involved. I mean, student council, I did theater, I did cross country, I did basketball. I got to do it all growing up. But like behind closed doors, I was like really suffering. I would be, depressed, or, there were days where I would just start crying, or the negative talk to myself it was incessant. It was just constant. And then I kind of hit my low, like I mentioned, in the beginning here, when I graduated high school and everybody moved off and everybody was moving on with their life, and I didn't have that goal. And I really the lack of value in myself and the confidence just wasn't there to like get by. So unfortunately, I'll say I hit rock bottom. Definitely a really dark place. One thing I've learned that support is huge, but not everybody has that.
Yeah.
Not everybody has those parents that, like my parents, my mom, hindsight, we've had conversations about it. And she's like, I didn't know whether I needed to scream at you to get off the couch, come hold you and hug you. I didn't know what to do with you, sit with you, But the point is that she was willing to try it all. And so was my father. And everybody in my family was like aware, like we're going through something, you know? Not everybody has that. With that being said, the one thing that I do like to say, and I think I mentioned to you last month, is that something that I've ebb and flow with is medication. And that is definitely not something I'm ashamed to talk about. I one time had a doctor tell me, sometimes you take it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes, you'll need it. Sometimes you can get by with just having a really great, healthy lifestyle. So I think that, like, what you and I discussed last month, like you said, well, we don't want to be feeling this together or talking through it. It's really, really important that we do talk about it, right?
Yeah, for sure. And the thing that resonated with me from that conversation that I wanted to repeat is like, because this is just, again, I've like battled with varying degrees of depression, but this is just so incredibly different, where it's like, and I mentioned this on an earlier podcast that I did a couple weeks ago, of like, it just feels like the color's drained out of everything. And the thing that is just really scary for me and just really kind of heartbreaking is the things that I've really loved with like exercise and health and fitness. Like, it feels like it's just lost its color. Like, I love going for walks, but it feels like nothing. And so it's like almost thinking of like, if you love cheesecake, but now it lost its taste, and you're just like, but why? And you just keep trying to force you like, but I know I've loved this thing. I've loved this thing forever. Like, why can't why is it not feeling? And it's just like, it's just horrifying. And you mentioned that you had that same thing with running, with as much as you love running. And by you saying that to me, where I'm like, oh my God, okay. Like, I'm so glad that like, you get me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Last year, I went for a while. Once I got up to New York, all my energy went into this, like, I'm going to go be a designer and I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. And so I stopped like working out. I was eating terribly. It was like grabbing this here, grabbing this there. You know what I mean? Like, nothing was planned out, and everything was just really unhealthy. And I finally got back into being a little bit more healthy, into running, into exercising. And then 2 years ago, I ran the New York City Marathon, which was like my third or fourth marathon. And then last year I vowed to myself, you're going to run Chicago and New York in 1 year. And then I was like, I will qualify for Boston, which, if you're a runner, it's such a huge goal. It's just like this thing that you just go after. And when I said that I will do it, it was like, okay, there's my positive talk, but am I really going to do it? Like, I got a lot of work to do. Luckily, I did, and I qualified, and it was one of the most amazing days of my entire life, I think, in Chicago last year. But with that being said, I'm coming off of, so I had those 2 marathons coming off of a year of like, gosh, I love running. I joined, my husband and I ran on a track club, and everything kind of was surrounded by running. And then come this past spring.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, I hate you. I hate you running. Don't even. And I don't,
nice little COVID.
It's like, it's what happened. But yeah, it just, and that to me, I think that is exactly a symptom of depression. It's a moment of like the things that the things that you love the most, if you keep doing them while you're depressed, they can come out, but sometimes you need a little extra something. If not, I try to make myself go run. And I think the negative talk in my mind just made me really hate the run.
Yeah.
The pain would happen. And in the past where it's like, man, fight through the pain and I feel stronger. And, you feel excited because you finished those 2 miles, 3 miles, 8 miles, 15 miles, and you got through that pain. Where I would get through 1 mile and I would say, your knee hurts or your leg hurts or your hip hurts or you can only go a mile today, or you can only, and last year you did this, and what are you doing? And Erin, you're just not as good, and like you've lost everything. Like the negative talk happens. And that's why I think you stop loving what you did love.
Yeah, which is just such a bummer. But I think it's so good to know that there's light on the other side of that. It's just working through it. And again, asking for help if you can, and recognizing it. Because, it's I don't know, this is just so different than like I'm a bummed out patch. And from all the conversations that I've had with multiple different kinds of people this year, and especially therapists, we're like, so many people are feeling this because this pandemic has punched them in the face, whether it's deeply affected you and you've lost your job, or somebody got sick, or if everything's seemingly the same of just being in the world right now, it's doing that to people. And it's like not recognizing that, I feel like it's been hard for me because it's just like, just keep trying to punch that wall. Sure. Like, it's just kind of like the example I keep using is it feels like I have a plug for an outlet, but I just keep hitting the wall instead of the plug. And I'm like, what the hell? And I just keep doing it. And I'm like, why won't this connect? I know I can do this. What's wrong with me? And I think you just have to, if you just keep slamming into the wall, it's not going to go anywhere good unless you kind of figure out a plan of like, how do we, hey, can somebody help me put this outlet in the wall?
Yeah. I think, can
or this plug in the wall?
Please help me?
Yeah.
I think, so like I said, luckily I've experienced it, or unluckily, however you want to look, but I could see in myself the triggers, and I saw it happening. For me, change is kind of like, whoa. I love being agile and fast-paced, but like when my life flips upside down, there's, or just anything, and so basically my life, I like to say, flipped upside down. I left a job, a career path that I had been in corporate design for 8 years, and then, we're locked in our tiny little New York City apartment, my husband and I, and then all of a sudden, we're selling property here in Cincinnati. We're buying property in Cincinnati. We're moving in a pandemic, yada, yada, yada. Everybody has so much going on. So it's how do you handle it? And I think because I saw those triggers, I knew to take a step back. But I think the one thing that I would recommend, and it's stop hitting the outlet.
Yeah, right.
Take a minute to hold the plug and just marinate. And say, what is it that I'm feeling? Like, sit in it and say, why am I feeling this? And really understand, is it because you're so used to going into an office and now you're like sitting at home and you don't get the opportunity to feed off of other people? Or is it because you did lose a job? I mean, there's so many extremes in our scenario. It's, I feel like a lot of people try to fix it really fast. I think if you take a moment and kind of reassess yourself and really figure it out. I don't know. That's where, and that's what I was kind of saying to you a couple weeks ago. I was like, yeah, give yourself a second, breathe. Don't put so much pressure on taking that next step or fixing it, right?
Yeah.
We're fixers.
Yeah, that's where my struggle is. It's just like, and that's a conversation I had with my therapist where she's like, your whole life has been, you're in a bad situation, get out of it, fix it, change it. Like, you don't like it? Like, okay, well then I'll fix it in some capacity. And this time I'm just like trying so hard and I like can't pull myself out of it. And it's really scary to me of like, why can't, and then you just beat yourself up of like, oh, well, what's wrong with you? Just get it together. Just, like you said, like just go outside and go for a run. Come on, quit being so lazy.
Yeah. Then you're beating yourself up.
Yeah. And then it's not pleasurable at all.
And then it's just a cycle of just negativity. But for me, I mean, everybody is different. For me, I approached my doctor and I said, hey, I think I'm in a place where we need to talk about maybe getting back on some antidepressants. And I did. And, it was a low dose. And I can honestly tell you, I can say that other things were changing at the same time. I was working on myself a little bit more. Like I said, I pulled back with working on the brand, and so I went full time into the brand after COVID hit, and I got laid off from my job in New York, and then that's when we started to make our moves. And so at the time, I think I obviously was kind of like, I felt like I was just like running on a wheel, right?
Yeah.
But I think I finally got back to Cincinnati and I said to myself, you take a step back, take a step away, stop focusing so much on it, stop putting so much energy into it. And that is when I kind of really appreciated what I'm doing going forward. It was almost like a way to reset and re-strategize the pressure. I took it off of myself. And so even stepping back from social media, like it felt good to just like look at what I was doing. Is this what I want to do? How do I want to do it? Let's sit for a minute and then,
Well, I mean, I would imagine, I mean, not to put this on you, I would imagine that losing your job in New York City, like that sucks.
Yeah.
Of like something you worked hard for. And I mean, I'm assuming that was a COVID decision.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, see, that totally sucks.
Yeah.
And like, so you're mourning this thing.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to sit in that to realize that it's a gift now that you can fully focus on your own thing, which is doing so much good for so many women. Of, we were talking before we started recording about how having like, good workout clothes just changes your attitude in between, like, of I'm going to go in there and I'm feeling myself in the gym. Like, I personally don't like working out in like just boxy t-shirts or anything like that. That's just my own jam of like, I want to feel good. I want to feel like a badass. Yeah. And so it's just like how much that can just even motivate you to hit those sort of goals. I mean, even if you're just wearing them all day, like if you're working from home, like whatever, as long as you feel good in it, of like just that alone, that you're creating that for women to have this thing that is a motivator during some jacked up times of like, well, here's something that's encouraging to you that will hopefully get you out on that walk, get you out on that run, get you back in the gym, get you into a yoga class, and then to, help out like homeless women at the same time. Like it's just doing so much good that it feels like, I mean, from my perspective, like I'm glad that can be your full focus now, because I just think that is just such an amazing gift to the world.
You're very sweet.
Oh, and I really mean that though. I just think, as talking as much as me and you have here recently of that, your just heart is in such the right place that you just really want to help and do well, which is why I'm like, I want to do everything I can to help promote your activewear and what you're doing. 'Cause it's, you're doing with the best of intentions of helping women all around. And that to me seems better than a corporate fashion job, even though it's much harder.
Much harder is an understatement. You're right. You're right. everybody says there's silver linings and everything. And so, yes, I lost my job in the corporate fashion. And, I left New York a little bit premature than what I wanted to. I loved it there. I love Cincinnati. I mean, this is where I've been my whole life, minus those 8 years for the most part. And, but I am really excited because I feel like for me, I feel like when you feel good, you want to look good. When you look good, you want to feel good. So like whenever I can't get out the door for that first run, or whenever I don't feel like waking up and going to that class, the first thing I tell people is I'm like, look, get you some inspiration and go out and get a new pair of leggings or get a new pair of kicks or like a sports bra that makes you feel good. It's going to motivate you to like get to that class. Mm-hmm. And then beyond that, for me, selfishly, it makes me feel fulfilled to be able to send a message that like whatever your health and wellness journey is, like you as a woman, you can own it. You and I have talked a lot about all of this, but I'm a marathoner. I love running. I love distance. And I also, for the first time went to Pilates yesterday, Shelley's Pilates. And I had never done that before because I was always insecure to try something new, especially in New York. So like I loved that yesterday. And I think that it's like having the confidence to go and try something. You're going to build on that confidence and you're going to keep moving forward. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that there is something to be said for having like an outfit that fits right and it feels good. The other benefit is if you like to sit in it through your Zoom calls and you like to just put like a nice blouse on and a beautiful chunky necklace and you have your like amazing leggings on, you could just rip that off in 3 seconds at lunchtime, run out for your, couple miles or like get down on the mat and do some yoga stretches and then pop back up for your Zoom call. Like it's an easy transition if it's like cute and fashionable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Well, and another thing too is I told you I've done this before as not only to have clothes that I like better to be a motivator, but I also used it as like goal markers of okay, whatever I've achieved blank, I'm going to reward myself instead of a pint of ice cream or pizza, which I have done in my yo-yo dieting days, instead of rewarding myself with food of like, okay, well, I'm going to go get a new pair of nice, fancy, exactly what I want, treat myself leggings of like, cause we were discussing this before we started recording where I feel like so much of my journey, it's like I feel like definitely at the beginning, it's like I don't deserve these cute clothes. I don't want to go into the store to buy those clothes because people are going to look at me like nothing in here fits you, like a pretty woman sort of vibe of like, this
Rodeo Drive.
Yeah, right. Like this store is not for you. And so I'm buying leggings at grocery stores and Walmart and stuff like that, not to fully knock it. But once you wear a pair of leggings that are made correctly and are of quality that won't fall apart and fit you right, like wearing a pair of your leggings versus Walmart leggings, which I do own, like it is a world of difference. Like you just feel more comfortable in it. It just fits your body better. And same thing with the tops too. Like I have a very large collection of $4 tank tops from Walmart because they're $4. But like how they fit you, like especially around my boobs compared to a shirt that's, I mean, it's just like anything else of something you're paying for the quality. Yeah. And so the way that I think it is so important in these types of clothes, because when we are putting ourselves in a place that maybe we not feel super confident in fitness, that it's giving you that extra boost of showing up in, for me, like some Walmart leggings that are kind of sliding off my ass a little bit and don't fit correctly. And I have to keep hiking them up and pulling into the shirt because I feel like it's sucking into me the ways that I don't like, versus I'm wearing something that feels good. And I deserve it. Like my body deserves this at any size, no matter where I'm at in my journey, of like the fact that I denied myself something that would have given me a confidence boost so long because I'm like, oh, I'm too fat for that. Or I'm not cute enough for that. I don't deserve that. Again, it's just so much of this hate talk in your head when it's like, that's actually something that would help you get over yourself. And if you are like, hey, times are tight and I don't have the money. That's something it's when you save up for those sorts of things and when you get it, you're like,
you feel good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's not the $12 Walmart leggings, but it's so worth the investment.
It is. And you know what you said that I love that you touched on is like at any size. That is something that I have been tirelessly working on. So I am dying to be a brand that is what I'm going to say all inclusive. It will have sizes XX small all the way up to 7XL if it has to. Right now, we are getting ready to introduce a lot of our products are going to extend up to 3XL, which I'm so excited about. It's not enough. I do realize it's not enough, and that's just motivates me to continue to like grow the brand, grow the product, because I want it to be where if you're not motivated and you say to yourself, I want to look cute, I want to go and be active, but where am I going to find clothing that is cute and that fits my body? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want you to have to go to Walmart. Also, when you do buy Meas Active, you're also giving back. It's like it comes full circle.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like I don't know. That's something that I take pride in. When I design the clothing, I take pride in the fact that I'm picking out fabrics that are like sweat wicking. They have pockets, or like some of our leggings are completely smoothing and they don't have a seam on the outside of the leg, so that they can really give you that contour or that compression.
Yeah, what are the ones that I'm wearing now?
Yeah, those are called the Limitless leggings.
Yeah, I like these.
Yes.
I do wish they had the big old honking pockets on the side, because I do love that too.
Yeah.
But they're just so freaking comfortable. And what's good, I do want to mention this too, because Shelly from Charities, she was going to buy some of your stuff, and she was asking me about the sizing because again, women's sizing is so jacked up.
It is so.
And she's
jacked
like,
up.
does this stuff like fit like the size says, or no? And I'm like, no, it's not like Baby Gap sizes.
Yeah.
It's like no, like it's for at least in my experience of what it says it is. It's like a true size. It's not like you're wearing an XL, but it's like meant for somebody that is a toddler.
Yeah. No, I can't. and that is exactly what I try to avoid. No, I'm the same way. Like I am an avid runner, and I'm a solid size medium, and every time I design into something, I make sure it is fitting me like a size medium. I also like my clothes not to be like you can shift certain directions. So, but I don't want them to be so tight on me that I just, I also don't want to look at the size label and be like, wait, what? This is my size? Like, and I know that's a mental thing, but no woman wants
but it
to,
is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth addressing as much as you say that it shouldn't affect you.
It
does. And I feel like that some of, especially, what's it called? Like whenever you get a race t-shirt that's not a typical t-shirt. What are those things called? Like the training shirts or whatever, where it's like that wicked sort of.
Oh, the wicking fabric. It'll come to me.
They got a certain name to them, but those are never the size
like
that they
say
they are.
shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's like you're like, oh, I typically wear a size blank, and you order that, and then you're just like, this fits on my boob.
You're like, it's like depressing on the spot.
Yeah, then you're like,
should I go run this race tomorrow? Like, am I going? Can I hand like?
And it's just like, it's. And I don't know. Like, this is a good question for you working in fashion so long.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the strategy behind that with women's sizes? Because it feels like that has to be some sort of like jack with your mind strategy with some people, that it's like, name it this size, but it's actually this size because it does something, psychologically to someone.
So realistically, you would think that they would do it. I feel like, unfortunately, when I try clothes on, it's like I'm sometimes I feel like I'm going a size up. And you think that it would be the opposite, like
to make you buy more of it or something.
I would think, but like whenever I've worked for a brand, we always fit like a size medium, and I think that this is the issue: is that the majority of fashion brands they will always fit the sample size, and usually it's a medium. Sometimes it's even a small. So like if you were to go to New York in the middle of August and go to like, they have like sample sales everywhere, which is awesome because you can get stuff for cheap, but you were only going to size find sizes smalls and mediums.
But small and medium to who?
Correct.
To a model?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, because
when
that's
you
different than an average person.
Well, this is what I mean. So like, you pick, so when we're fitting, we would fit apparel, and you're fitting a size medium, and they have measurements that the size medium is. And so they interview these, what they call fit models. They come in every time you have a new garment that you're fitting. She's the same person every single time. But if you see this size medium, she might be those measurements, but it's not real. And that is one thing that I used to say all the time is that, like, we're not fitting real women. If you are going to do that, then we need to fit a size medium, but then let's also fit the size extra large. And let's just see where there is a discrepancy, because there is a discrepancy. And I think that's definitely worth talking about. And that's something that, like, as I'm designing into clothing, I have people try it on. I personally wear test everything, but I have other sizes try it on to make sure that they feel comfortable. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll give it to them. I'll take the size label out, so they have no idea. And I'll say, what size are you and what size do you want this to feel? Like, what is, and then I'll give them a size and then they can tell me. And so it's a little bit more what I'm going to call true to size. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're squeezing into a size large when you're like, wait, I thought I was a medium.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, I feel that with your clothes.
Good.
Because otherwise, I mean, again, like, you don't want to say that it's going to be depressing or bum you out, but especially if you're sensitive to that,
sure,
then
absolutely.
It totally does. Well, and that's why it's like, oh, I think I'm this size pant, and then you wear it somewhere else and it's completely different. Like, there's
no consistency.
Yeah, and it's just so frustrating because it feels like men's clothing has consistency.
Well. Yeah. I mean, that's all I'm going to say about that. I did dabble in men's clothing a little bit, and it did feel a little bit more consistent, I can say.
See, that has to be a psychological trick on women. I would say it's of like, it's playing to your emotions.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Also, like, you'll find too, I think, because certain brands, this is a little bit more of a totally different subject, but sometimes brands are a little bit confused as to their demographic.
Oh.
So sometimes you'll find that they are fitting on a junior size medium, and you're like, wait a minute, the majority of us wearing your jeans are like in our 30s. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So then that's where you're really like, okay, I'm a curvier woman. Why is this size not correlating? And it's probably because they're fitting on a size medium, like a junior size person, which is a teenager.
Yeah. When that's said, they're just trying to be like, young people love us. Like, no, they
they're
don't.
Trying to pick, right. They're trying to pick who's shopping at their store, when in reality they're not catering to who is shopping at their store.
Gotcha.
So,
a little bit of denial there.
A little bit of denial. But anybody shopping at my store, Meas Active, to go ahead and plug that, are real women. And I like to think that I'm sizing it for that.
Yeah, so I felt good when she asked me that question to say that. Because, I mean, I even have one shirt. I still keep it just because I like it, because it's cute. It says, oh, kale, yeah, on it. And it has kale on it, because I used to be super obsessed with kale chips for a while, like really obsessed with kale chips for a while. And this is an extra large shirt. And at my very smallest size, like, it's still like did not fit me. And I'm like, who is this size for? Because this was supposed to be a women's XL. And this, like, it's...
Who did it fit? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really is for a 9-year-old. And so that's where I'm like, I spent money on that. But it's like, how can you tell? And I mean, just for me, and I mean, I don't know if this is average or not. I'm like, when it does sizing stuff, I'm like, I don't know what my measurements are for things half the time. And so I don't know. I know I'm the minority, at least currently, out of my friend group that doesn't order clothes online.
Sure.
And I mean, other than like activewear, like, I don't buy, well, God, I mean, this year all I've worn is activewear.
Right.
Honestly, I have not worn jeans at all in 2020.
You're not alone.
And so, but like, normally I don't like do like Stitch Fix or anything like that.
Sure.
I'm not ordering clothes just because I odd body shape too. I have like very hippie.
Yeah.
And so I'm very like, I got the hips and I got the boobs. And so things that think that they would fit, but don't always go around the hips and the boobs. And so I'm like, I know if I order this online, it's either not going to fit or it's going to look so stupid.
Definitely.
So and that's also kind of sucked in COVID. Not that I've needed to buy clothes because I have nowhere to go.
Right.
But like that dressing rooms are closed because
You can't try anything
because
on.
even at Target, which is my typical go-to, is like none of their stuff has any consistency at all, like even in the dresses. And so I'm like, I can't just guess that this is going to wear. And I know if I buy it and I bring it home and it doesn't fit, I'm really bad at returns.
I know. I'm the same way.
And so I'm like, they'll get me.
And then it sits there in the corner of your it sits there in the corner of
Yeah.
your room. I definitely have a bag like that.
So it's like nice to like whenever you have a place like Meas Active and it's like, I know the sizing, I
Yeah.
trust this, I can order this.
Yep.
It's not like, oh my God, am I gambling here?
And even if you know, I keep encouraging, and I've had plenty of people ask me, and we're happy to talk you through sizing through direct messaging or email or whatnot. But we're free shipping everything and happy to do exchanges or returns. I mean, I want to make sure that the product is like meeting standards, it's meeting the quality level that the customer is looking for, and then absolutely sizing.
Yeah.
And when you do try out, I think for me being a new brand, and also I currently only have an online platform, it's hard for instance, you would never have known what those leggings felt like. You didn't, if you're not able to see it in a store or touch it, what is going to incentivize you to make that purchase, especially if it's a brand you don't know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why very, very lenient on if you need an exchange, if you need to try a different size. I've even had people say, look, I don't know what size it is. And I'm like, I'll ship you both. You ship them back. Like, I'm just going to trust, because I want to make sure that like you love the garment that you have. And if you don't, like, let's talk about it. And if you don't, maybe I can design into something better. You can tell me what kind of function it's missing. Just like you've told me that I need pockets on this legging, I'm going to go home and add a pocket on the sketch and see what we can do.
I mean, how 2020 is this? It's nice to put the mask in.
Oh, without a doubt.
So if I'm going outside for a walk, I typically don't have a mask. But if I find myself going into some place, it's nice to have the mask on me, or also the phone.
Sure.
I like that those big pockets are big enough for the phone, which the other ones they have too that have the pockets, the green pants.
Yes,
what's the
you
name
have a pair
of those?
of olive. I believe those are the In Motion.
Yeah, I like those because those got the pockets. But that's just, I mean, that's going to be changing here in the winter months in Cincinnati because I'm going to have a coat on and I'll have those pockets. But in the summer, it's so nice because I'm like, oh, I don't need to throw in a fanny pack or anything. Got the phone, get the mask. Let's go out the door.
Let's do it. Got your keys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We do have an addition. We do have the ones you have, the In Motion. Those are a little bit more plushy, kind of more cottony. So it's good for like great loungewear and like running errands. There's one called, I believe, the Mission legging. And that is like a super high function. So it has pockets. I'm going to have to get you a pair of those actually.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on. I'll wear them. Yeah, the ones I have on, like, I'd say that these are probably my favorites.
Amazing.
Well, then I think I have a black pair of these too.
Yeah.
And I really like those too.
Okay.
They're just like so soft and they're so comfy.
They're buttery. That's what everybody says, buttery. There's the tie-dye legging that I'm wearing. That's like been the number one. Like, I think tie-dye's been amazing this year anyway. But yeah, it's that buttery feeling. And this has a small pocket at the waist, but
do you still sell the cool shiny jacket that I like?
Girl, those after you wore it, they sold out.
You don't have any more of those?
I might have one if I dug through it, but no.
Dang.
I know that sold out. I think by last spring I was out of it. I'm really hoping to get into some more shiny jackets.
See, I like the shiny stuff. You have like all sorts of cool shiny clothes.
We do. So the original collection that we introduced the brand with was the Performance, which was I initially designed it with a lot of shine in mind. Our campaign was Shine to the Finish Line. So like I would train in all of them. We had a biker short which had 3 pockets in it. We had another legging that has incredible pockets. We still have some of the product, but it has high shine. It's like really, like I always say, it's for the girl that wants to stand out. You know what I mean? I think during COVID, a lot of people were like, oh, I want to do something a little more subtle. But yeah, it's an amazing collection for like brunch, because you look fabulous at brunch with your shiny jacket or your, a hit of shine in your legging. It's a mile 26.2. That's what I like to say.
Yeah.
If you like to run 26.2.
I do not.
Yeah.
I never have, and I never will.
Fair enough.
My running career was shut down after
Your knee.
half marathons. Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, I never would have done a full. Like after doing a couple halves, and I had no desire to do more.
Yeah.
I was proud that I ever did.
Half.
I was proud I ever did 1 mile. Like I never
Oh.
ran a full mile without stopping until I was 30.
Amazing.
And I did a Couch to 5K podcast. Shout out to the Chubby Jones podcast. And so I did that to do Couch to 5K. And when I ran a mile, just 1 mile, I stopped in the middle of the road and cried. I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And then my first official 5K, I did a color run in Sacramento, California.
Oh,
and that
awesome.
was 2013 maybe. But that was my first official 5K. And then I did a lot of 5Ks and then 10Ks. And then I did my first half marathon. I did the St. Jude. I went as a St. Jude hero. So I raised so much money for St. Jude that I was in, even though I was in Oregon, I got flown to Nashville.
Wow.
And then I got to wear like the St. Jude like singlet, and we got to like all the St. Jude heroes got to take a picture together because we all raised so much money for St. Jude. And then that I was stupid. As a runner, you'll appreciate this because I grew up in Illinois and I lived in the Midwest, and I hadn't lived in the Midwest in a long time at that point because it was New York and Colorado and then Oregon, and I'd never been to Nashville, and I just assumed Nashville was flat. And I didn't look at the race course because I'm like, it's like flat.
It's flat.
No, it's not. It is not near flat. And that course is the Rock and Roll Marathon, and it's brutal. And so, and it didn't help either that I was having like the worst period ever.
Oh.
And that might all ran off around mile 6.
That was mile 6. You're like, can the race be done at mile 6?
Oh, it was brutal.
That's horrible.
So, I mean, I made it. So I was proud, but it was like, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do double this.
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah. Hey, you did 13. I mean, gosh, I always say, a lot of people ask, 26.2, miles, a marathon, it's great. I'm like, well, look at, I celebrate that mile. Like this past spring, I took time off after last year's marathons. And when I got out there, I was like, man, when I can make it a mile, it's like I celebrate it. And so right now, I am up to the most I've ran. It's about 5 miles. But like sometimes I'll do 2 miles and I'll stop and walk, or I'll stop and like wait it out. And then I'll do another mile and I'll stop and wait it out. But yeah, when you can really start, you just got making that goal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're running 26 or 1.
Well, and I think that's just so important to talk about that. And even I have a friend he did his first full a couple years ago at the Pig, and he's an interval runner. And it feels like people give interval runners so much crap, like somehow it doesn't count because you're running in intervals and you're not just running the whole time. Like, that is the smartest thing to do, is to give yourself some breaks.
Absolutely.
And so it's just, and like same thing too of like, I think so many people get in their headspace of like, walking it, because I walk them now, of like, oh, well, that doesn't count. Like, says who?
Yes,
Are
it
you
does.
walking 13 miles today?
Yeah.
You are not.
So whoever says that about interval runners, I want to say, did you walk it?
Yeah. Did you do any interval run, the
Says the
5K
person who
or
doesn't
anything?
do it.
Yeah, doesn't
Yeah.
do it at all. Of like, it doesn't make it
No.
like easy still, especially if you're doing a full.
Yeah.
My God, like I have
Absolutely.
I don't even want to walk a full. I don't.
Yeah.
I've never. I think the most I've done in a day with like walking and hiking is like 24 miles. I never made it to 26.
That'll beat you up.
It does. I mean, especially if you're on a hike and you're doing some uphill stuff.
Absolutely.
But I think I did like 22 miles a day, that St. Jude half, because I didn't realize the finish line was not where the start line was. And
So
I
you
had to like walk back. And then I had a friend come to visit me that I grew up with from St. Louis area, and she came down, and then we walked around downtown and just, had drinks and hung out and stuff. So it's like, I got my miles in that day.
Yeah, you got.
And I was like, this is not the day for my Fitbit to die. I need I need the new badges.
The new badges. Yeah.
So if somebody wants to check out all of your amazing stuff, meactive.com.
Yeah, Meas Active. It's spelled MEAS. Lots of people say Meas, but it's me. The S is silent, and it's meactive.com.
And I'll pull the links up in the show notes, and hopefully somebody comes, checks you out, and finds the perfect athletic clothes to get them going and help support other women.
Absolutely.
For info on health coaching and more, go to AmandaValentineBites.com.